Hey folks, Ty Cohen here from KindleCashflow.com, and with me today I've got Lindsay Gremmer, and I think this is going to be, as a matter of fact, let me correct myself. This is going to be a superb interview. I think you're going to get some golden nuggets out of this. She just started to get into like how she got to be involved with the Kindle Cashflow program and what she was seeing behind the scenes, and then what prompted her to jump into it. So I said, Lindsay, hold off before you even jump into it, because I'm going to save that for the interview. Now, before we get into this, guys, if you don't have your tickets to KCF Live, Kindle Cashflow, the world's largest, most loved virtual seminar for Kindle publishing, make sure you go to kcflive.com, get your tickets. You'll also get a chance to win some really cool stuff. Like we've got the Kindle Cashflow hats that you see back here, somewhere around here. We've got the Year to Paper hats that just came in. So we give away some really cool things on these events. We've got our Kindle Cashflow swag, some of our shirts. This one says results change beliefs, beliefs change lives, right? Which I think is something that is so true. Then we give away some really cool gifts like Apple AirPods. We've got some Apple Watches here, just a lot of stuff. We even give away computers, Lindsay, if you can believe that.
I need one of those.
We go nuts. So not like a MacBook Air. We gave away a few of these things.
Yeah, there you go.
So we'll be giving away a few more. So Lindsay.
Yes.
Tell us about yourself. I know that you're a CPA, right? So you're a certified public accountant.
Yes.
Where are you? Who is Lindsay Grimmer? And like, I want to hear about that beautiful smile that I'm looking at right now.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Who is Lindsay Grimmer? So I obtained my CPA license about 13 years ago, and I'm born and raised in Colorado, and my husband and I actually went to high school together, not sweethearts, but we were best friends, and he had the amazing opportunity to move from Northern Colorado, excuse me, to the Vail Valley of Colorado. And if you know anything about the Vail Valley, it is not cheap to live here.
I know. When you said that, I was like, okay, big bucks.
No. So he had the opportunity, and we thought that he was getting an amazing pay increase. Yep. And then after we researched the cost of living, we found out that we were going backwards. So yes, it was very challenging. I'd have to say probably our biggest fights of our marriage were during that move. So I took it upon myself to buy myself a job, and I bought an accounting practice, and I hired, or actually I inherited a passive aggressive employee. So I had to literally take that accounting practice, dwindle it down to bare bones, and build it back up again. And so I've done that over the last 13 years. And I honestly am so grateful that I stumbled upon this practice. Like I seriously was doing research on the internet on opening something myself, and it happened to be there, and it made sense at the time because it really was instant cash flow. But I have been a slave to that business for 13 years. So really just going into these last few years of, I have a son that's 17, and I've missed out on pretty much his entire upbringing, which is really, really sad. He graduates next year, and I can't say it's been all bad. I've had flexibility. He plays hockey, and actually our team won the state championship this last March. He's the goalie, so I'm a proud goalie mama. But it's been hit and miss if I've been able to make every single event over the last, 8-9 years that he's been playing. So even though it's been great, it's allowed us to thrive in the Vail Valley. It's also been, I've definitely had exchange time for money. Yeah.
Now, I'm glad that you're so open with that. And I think that's beautiful, because one of the things in the Kindle Cashflow community that we talk about is just being open, right? Because we have so many different people from so many different walks of life. And I think it's important for people to see that there's other people that are in situations so that they can say, okay, I'm not the only one, which is why I share so much of my story, right? And my history. coincidentally, you're the second CPA that I've interviewed.
I know.
Right? So I'm like, what's going on here?
Right. I call it CPA's gone rogue.
But this is really cool, right?
Right.
My CPA, her name is Anita.
Yeah.
And, she's here. She's about 30 minutes away from me. Her and I have the best conversations. Like, we'll talk about like taxes and saving, but then we'll just go off on a tangent. We start talking about other things. So I think I say that to say that you and I are gonna do really well.
Right.
So like you, right? So for me, one of the things that really got me started with passive income and wanting to go down that lane was like you. We have 4 kids. We have 2 boys, two girls. My oldest daughter, Maya, she's 22 now. And I remember one day my office was in the front of the house. So in the morning, the kids would have to walk past me.
Right.
And when they got home from school, they would walk past. So right. Kids being, just kids and observant and innocent. She says, hey, Dad, you're in your office from the minute I go to school, right, to the minute that I get home. Now, think about this, Lindsay. So the bus picked them up really early, right? It was like 6:45 or so. And then after school, she had activities. So she had like dance and cheer and things like that. So she wasn't getting back home until like 6 or 7 sometimes. Right. 8 o'clock sometimes, right? And it's just like when she said that in this innocent way, I was like, oh my God. Right. I missed out on so much of her earlier years in life because I was working and, Right. So I appreciate you sharing that. So is that part of the reason why just Kindle publishing and just looking to generate, passive income is so attractive to you right now?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, and I have to say that, so I've been, there's several different things. That's definitely one of the largest ones. I am the niche that I have with my business. We act actually as contract controllers for a lot of small businesses, more than what we do with like tax planning and helping people build wealth through saving taxes. We're more of the helping making business decisions. And the niche that I have fallen into, we actually work with a lot of homeowners associations, which is, it's been a bittersweet journey. I've never had AR issues. I've never been at a risk of losing business, but we deal with a lot of extremely negative people. Wow. And in all honesty, what was that?
That could be draining.
It is. It's actually, that's really what has burned me out more than anything. And what has attracted me so much to the Kindle Cash Flow program truly is the positive community. What I feel like in my line of work, it's a me against them all the time. And I need to feel alive again and empowered and supportive and encouraged. And the community, what you have built with Josh and Marty it's actually a lifesaver, to be honest with you. It's been amazing.
I appreciate that. Yes. That. What have you ever what are other programs? Because sometimes I'll talk to people and they've tried other programs. I know myself, I tried a million different programs.
Right. Absolutely. I'm that same person to the point that when I told my husband that I was doing this, I didn't want to get the backlash. Another one, another one. Right. Yes. So
what was it between other programs? Because there's something like you're moving forward, right? You're committed, right? And you're moving forward. Going back to my journey again, there was a point where I had to unsubscribe from every email.
Right.
There was a point where I had to stop watching webinars and trainings because I knew myself. I was just, everything just looks good. Right. It's like not eating for a week and then all of a sudden you go to this buffet, right? Or it's like going shopping and you're hungry, right?
Right. Yes.
So what got you to a point where you said, okay, I'm gonna actually go in and try this program enough so that you got a chance to experience the community and the things that are involved with it?
Really, it was it was the fact that I could do something. So I'm in the romance genre, as well as I've also written a book personally, because when I go, like I'm all in, right? So I started out in the romance genre, and actually I love romance. So I could relate to, Anik was who I had originally listened to a couple of years ago, but I could relate to, why people read romance books. I needed my own escape in life, right? I mean, that's really kind of what it's about. And so being able to do something that I actually personally have an interest in anyways, and then truly making it passive, I'm an accountant. I'm very black and white, even though I do feel like I'm more of a creative accountant. Like, for me to write romance books is probably, they're not going to sell very well. So
about that, I'm glad you said that, because I was thinking about, accountants, right? And then, like you said, everything just being right. There's like no middle, right?
Right. Yes. But going down this path of like learning how to market and reach out to people, I have learned that piece of it is a learned skill that I am very much learning how to do, not trying to be so accountant-y, if you will, that I need to learn how to speak to people through marketing. And so anyway, so going back to what I really liked about it truly was the passive income piece of looking for ghostwriters, doing the research, and kind of sitting back and just managing this thing. And that is what really made me realize that that's what I was missing in my own business, to be honest with you, in my accounting practice, that I've been trying to do everything myself instead of delegating. And so this whole process seriously has been an eye-opener just from every aspect of my life to just be, the business manager. And I've actually figured out that I'm pretty good at it. So.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Have you ever read the book, The E-Myth?
No, I haven't.
By Michael Gerber. So The E-Myth, I read it maybe about 15 years ago or so. And, I've always looked for ways to just leverage, right? So leverage the skills and the talents and the smarts of other people.
Right.
So in it, Michael Gerber, he talks about, as business owners, we have these 4 hats, right? So there's like the manager, there's the mechanic, there's the creative, there's the, And when I first read it, it like totally opened up my eyes, because probably like you, I was trying to do everything in my business. And I also had this train of thought that no one else can do it as well as I could.
Right.
Or no one else would be as passionate about it as I would, or cared as much, because I was the business owner, right? I have a business, so why should they?
Right.
But then I think that there's 2 things. So it's that, and then also taking a Colby test. So if you haven't taken a Colby test.
I have.
Okay.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you know your numbers offhand? I'm a 5'7", 5'3".
Are you? I can actually look mine up. I'm not. So all I do know is that, and actually the Colby test, I did it a year or 2 ago, just within my practice. Yeah. And I realized when I first started off my career, I was actually in tax. Yeah. And my Colby test told me that I'm not very technical. Like, technical is like my lowest number. Yeah. And so it dawned on me why I really hated preparing tax returns, but I am more of a creative. Yeah, a creative and a researcher, which tells me like I love the research piece of the Kindle cash flow program, and I'm really good at it. But those weren't my 2 top numbers, as being a creative and being a researcher. So, and not a technical person at all.
Yeah, and I'm like that too. Not really technical. I'm more of I'm high on the creative side. I'm high on the implementation side, and I'm high on the systemizing side. So laying out the system. So, man, just to hear the fact that you started having your team, right? Take the Colby test and then putting them in positions of strength is beautiful. Right. That's what I'm doing now. I'm working on that right there.
Right.
So with that said, so knowing that, listen, I'm an accountant. This is my personality type. I'm not a technical person. How does the marketing side, like, how do you like really put yourself in a position where you're doing more of the marketing?
Right.
Right here.
Right. So I've thought a lot about this because I'm going to be quite honest with you. It's the one piece that I struggle with the most. Yeah. And going through the group, I feel like that's probably what majority of people struggle with the most. Yeah. So it's just like, I'm so driven to learn marketing because I'm not a technical person, and marketing is all about testing, right? And so that is just one area right now that I'm just determined to move forward with. And I'm just, I've been running Facebook ads to my new romance series and just learning the whole process, but also it's patience, Ty. Like, I feel like this whole process, I'm the most impatient person in the world. And this whole process, I am, but this process has taught me patience. It really has. We live in an instant gratification world, and I know for a fact, I've seen it in the group that there are team members that are so successful at this, and they're where I want to be. And I know that if I keep moving forward and keep learning and not giving up and exercising patience, it's, my goals are going to happen.
Yeah, they definitely are. And it's exactly that. It's an exercise and understanding that patience is required. I'm going to tell you, for you and for anyone else that's watching, right? On the marketing side, there's two things that you want to study and you want to start to look at more. The first thing is psychology, right? The psychology behind why someone buys. What are the words that influence people? What are the colors? What are the price points? Because believe it or not, things like price points, right? Can a $9.97 price point versus and I'm just throwing this out there as an example. Don't go pricing your ebooks at $9.97. So a $9.97 versus $9.98 or $9.99 can drastically influence your conversion rates depending on, again, the market and your demographic and everything else. So the first thing is the psychology or persuasion. The second thing is psychology. So those things, understanding and studying both of them. There's a professor, Robert Cialdini, who has a book called The Power of Influence. Go in and grab his book or listen to the audio. Have you read it yet?
I haven't. No, I'm going to write it down though.
It's an old book. Again, it's one of the first books on persuasion that I ever read. And it is just a game changer. Right. Now, once you have that in your arsenal, it makes the marketing side so much easier because now you're understanding, it's not just the mechanics behind marketing. Right. It's that to a degree, but if you get the persuasion part of it, the psychology behind why someone does something, it's so much more easier. And here's the other thing. For someone like you and like me, because I think we're kind of similar in that aspect, it no longer becomes pulling teeth. It becomes being fun because are you serious? I added this paragraph and it increased my conversions. So now it becomes really fun.
Yes. Yeah. And that's what I have to say. I do feel everyone comes into this with their different strengths, right? Yes. Me, I'm a researcher. So the research part is easy. Finding the books to model is easy. I've actually done a really good job of, finding decent ghostwriters. So I have that piece of the puzzle in place. But when I look back at the group, I feel like the people that have truly just exploded instantly do have that marketing sense, that marketing piece. But the great thing about it is that it's such a learned skill. It is such a learned skill to where you just have to have the patience to learn it.
Yeah, 100%. I don't know if you know Jawar, who's in the group, and I was telling him, when I first started studying marketing and all of this stuff, I heard a phrase by someone. I think it might have been the late Gary Halbert or maybe Gary Benzabanger. And they said something that really stuck out. Once you understand marketing and get it, you'll never go broke. You'll never have a problem with money. And that appealed to me so much. Right. So at that point, I was like, marketing? I got to study. I was starting to eat, sleep, and drink marketing at that point because of that one sentence and the way that it was carried over to me.
Yeah. I wish I would have paid attention to marketing a little more in college. If I would have known now, or then what I know now of that is the skill. Seriously, you look at all of the successes. I don't care, Robert Kiyosaki, yes, he sells finance books, but it's all about, marketing. You look at these successful people and it is that one skill that they have mastered. So accounting can be hired out.
100%.
Yeah. So.
Everything. And that's the E-Myth, right? So once you go back and read or listen to that book, you'll get that as well. So it's exactly what you just said. Most of the things that, we come into loving or liking can be hired out. And it can be hired out to someone that's much better than us at it as well. Right. So writing an ebook, right? Or editing your book or creating a cover. I could not create a cover for the life of me. I could probably create one if I just went in and drew a bunch of squares. But other than that, so outsourcing it to someone else and being able to get these dynamic covers that look great. Let me ask you, so what's been your biggest roadblock? Has it been marketing or something else? Your biggest roadblock for you to get past so far?
Honestly, it's being in my head. That's been my biggest roadblock. And I have to say that so I've been working with Stephen for a while, and there's been some points of frustration because we do see people in the group that are exploding and stuff, and it's just like, oh, I want to be there. Like, what are they doing that I'm not? And it's an obsession actually. But it can also get in your head, right? Going back to the whole being the most impatient person in the world. So, so right before the last Kindle Cashflow Live in April, I was frustrated, like I had this abyss of ghostwriters gone rogue and everyone had dropped off or not producing great content and stuff. And so then I totally lost belief. I'm like, I'm hiding behind this pen name. Like everything was coming in my mind. Right. And so actually it's probably a week or two before the last Kindle Cashflow Live. Like, I live in the mountains. And so me and my dog went on this beautiful hike in the valley, and I actually sat on a tree stump, and I'm going to get a little vulnerable here, but like, I just started crying, and I was like, my dog was like barking at some chipmunks in the tree, and I'm just sitting there and I'm crying, and I'm talking to the universe of like, why am I so scared to put myself out there? Like, why? I've proven that I can be successful. And so I kind of did a calling out to the universe, and I came back to my house and I started just doing some research, and I started looking at nonfiction books that were really buzzing. And I was like reading them, and I was just like, this is the person that I need to be. I love finance. I love education. I love all of these things. And I'm like, why am I hiding? Why am I hiding? And so Stephen and I have this conversation, and I kind of told him about my ideas, and he's like, I love it. So then going to Kindle Cashflow Live happened, and I remember it very vividly. I actually sent my boys off on a dirt biking boys trip that weekend so I could 100% focus. I was like, get out of the house, go do your thing. Mama needs to learn. So it was Saturday, and it was the second half of the day, and you were speaking all about just mindset and dreams and goals and all of this, and that really was truly my turning point. You were so powerful, Ty. After that, like I typed an email to Stephen, and I was just like, literally, it was like this long. I'm giving him like all of my ideas, it was just flowing. Right. And then I did a new post for a new ghostwriter. I got the most amazing ghostwriter. And then actually that same week, I had a gal reach out to me and for my romance pen name, and 12, I was included in a series of 11 different authors. Yeah. To write a book in. And so like, once I had that shift between that 2 and 3 week period, like the momentum has just been snowballing, and it's been amazing.
That's beautiful. you said something at the very beginning, and I think that was, I got to stand up for a second here.
Yeah.
Because now you get me into, you get me. I was just thinking, and the first thing is you taking that walk, right? And just being able to identify where you were at. That is, you're blessed to be able to have the ability to do that.
Right.
A lot of people, they get in positions and they don't have the ability to say, you know what, let me stand back and take a look at where I'm at and how I'm feeling and what I think about myself right now. And that's the first part. And then the second part is to go in and act on that. Right. So we look at someone like Robin Williams, right? The late, this guy was loved by everyone. Right. He had, if we're looking from the outside in, like, he had the celebrity, he had money, he had the fame, he had everything, great movies, television shows, but there was something that he wasn't able to look at himself and say, what am I missing here? And how do I go in and work towards making sure I find that missing piece, right? Because to everyone else, it looks like I'm on top of the board. So being able to do that is amazing. I commend you for being able to take that walk. And I always tell people, listen, I never was a person to want to go out and take walks in nature and camp and all of that other stuff. It wasn't until, later in life I started to embrace it. It's been like the best thing ever. Right. Taking a walk and getting that clarity, and then being able to get in your head and recognize, like, hey, Ty, you know what? You are really tripping right now. What you think is what you think is reality is only reality in your head. You need to go back and revisit some things. And that's exactly what you did. Right. So how did you get to the point where you're able to do that, to be able to basically go in and talk to yourself and say, Lindsay, this is where I'm at, but this is where I need to be. Let me go back and revisit things. Where did that come from? I was just tired of the continued self-sabotage. Seriously, like, it's honestly, it's just been fear that's just holding me back. And I think, so I can relate to Seth a lot. So in his story, I'm in a situation where I make good money. I own an accounting practice. I have for many of years. We live in a very expensive place. We have not only survived, but we've thrived here. And I feel like it actually can be more of a curse when you are not destitute, if you will, because the money, it's safe, right? Like, my accounting practice is safe. Yeah. I'm better than everyone else by standards, right? If you look at the averages and yeah, absolutely. Right. It's so safe, but I'm dying inside. Like, I am dying inside. I say that that my career, my license is actually it's a facade. Like, this is not. I'm not truly living who I'm supposed to live. Yeah. And I actually had this conversation with my mom the other day. I was just like, I think it's really changed me. I think it's totally changed my personality. When I think back to myself in my younger years, like, I was like outgoing and all of this stuff, and it's kind of turned me into an introvert. And I think when you're not living within your true potential of what you're really supposed to do, it's hindered. It's definitely changed my personality. And so it's the self-sabotage, because we are comfortable, like, when people are saying why, why do you want to sell your practice? Why do you want, like, people don't understand, just like Robin Williams, like, he was dying inside, obviously, but from the outside looking in, people don't understand. And I think it was really the turning point of that day of, like, I am so tired of the self-sabotage of, going back to trying 1,000 different things. It wasn't the things that were the problem. It was me. That truly was the problem. So let's talk about self-sabotage for a minute, because there's a lot of people who are watching this right now who may have heard of the term, may have heard of the term. So I want to introduce it to people that haven't. So, self-sabotage comes in so many different forms. I was talking to someone else on the team a couple of months back, and I was telling them they started to do better financially, right? one thing that I mentioned to him, I said, is be careful of lifestyle creep.
Right.
Right? You're doing better, so be careful of starting to now eat the better steak, right? Go on the better vacations, drive the better cars, because there becomes this entrapment of a sort. So that could be one type of self-sabotage. The other type of self-sabotage could also be, this identity crisis where, it's like, I'm doing well, but am I faking it?
Right.
So, and I think that the term escapes me right now. I'm sure.
Imposter. Yeah.
Imposter syndrome.
Imposter syndrome. Yes.
And that's very real. As you start to see success, you start to get imposter syndrome, where again you're faking yourself out. You're like, well, people are gonna catch on to me, right? They're gonna find out that I'm a fraud or whatever it may be. Right. The other form of self-sabotage is understanding that you should have, be, and do better things, but having the belief that it's possible because you've got all of these other things that are in place. And it doesn't matter where you're at, right? So you could be somewhere where you've already gotten those things, right? But you know that who you are has kind of shifted.
Right.
Speaking from a place of being able to identify with that, because that was me a couple of years ago too. I had another business that I had to completely build from scratch all over again, because I was dealing with affiliates and JV partners that I did not like. They weren't in alignment with my core values, right? They had products that were just crappy, fraudulent products. They were doing anything for money. I said, these are not the people that I want to be around, right? So it kind of took me from who I knew I was. So being able to, the funny part about that is, Lindsay, we have who we are, and then we grow into this other person.
Right.
So much so, based on what people think we should be and who, we start to develop and turn into who we think we should be, that we forget who we really are.
It's
we start to take on this skin, so that we forget who the freak we are underneath that skin. And then when we realize, like, this is not me, how do I get back to that person? Then that's the journey. Like, how do you really get back to it?
It's so true. And honestly, that's where I'm at right now. That exact same place of like, yes, the person of who I am right now has got me and my family to this place, but it's not who I really am, and so that was kind of the defining moment of that day that I went to take the walk of like, I am tired of this. I am tired of living, under this mask of not who I really am not. So, yeah.
So that was big. And the fact that you're still on that journey, because I think we're all on that journey, right? We start to get places where we're continuously growing. Hopefully most of us are continuously growing. Then there's going to be these times in our life when we don't grow. And sometimes we may even go backwards a little bit. But understanding who you truly are and not letting the identity that other people put on you, whether it's our spouses and our significants or our children or our the freaking other parents that are at the PTA meetings or whatever it may be, right?
Right.
So what are you doing now to push your Kindle business forward? Like what's been, if someone's watching this, right, and they're brand new and they are struggling right now and they're kind of seeing the successes, I'm glad you touched on that too. They're seeing everyone else in the group and they're kind of wondering, like, when am I ever going to get there? Some people may even think like maybe the successes are planted, right? Are these people really doing it? Or, speak to that person that may be having a hard time, and how are you overcoming it?
So patience, I really think is the big thing, and just being gentle with yourself. I've gotten to a point where I'm now addicted. I want to learn more, but I would have to say that it's the small wins. Okay. So everybody thinks of a win as monetary. And when I was like gonna be ready to throw in the towel with my romance pen name because my first series just didn't do well at all, it was even the people following me, more and more people follow me on like BookBub. Like those little things of like, okay, people are listening to what I say. People are interested in the stories that I'm publishing. So I would have to say, like, really really celebrate any win. Any win is a win. You know, whether you think it's minuscule and small, it really isn't, because those little things, because it wasn't the money at the time, you know, like I had already written my series. You know, it didn't do very well. So I definitely was in the red, but really what kept me going is the belief of seeing other people, but celebrating those small wins. And as my second series came out, just Josh and Marty always said, like, I promise you, like, the snowball effect will happen. And I'm starting to see that in the present moment of like, okay, my page reads have now, you know, doubled what they were last month. And it's only in the first 15 days of the month. So, you know, again, the monetary piece of it isn't even nearly where I want to be, but I'm seeing it start to snowball like they said it would. So just believing in that process, just believing that what they are telling you is actually very true.
They're celebrating small wins. I think that's huge. And even, you know, celebrating, like having the discipline to follow through.
Right.
So looking at when you don't want to do it.
Right.
You may not want to go out and, if you're writing your own books, write a couple of chapters or write a couple of paragraphs.
Right.
But be able to push yourself and have, listen, the body is always willing to.
Right.
The body is always willing to. It's the mind, right? I was watching a video with Tony Robbins not too long ago. He was talking about over the decades how he's conditioned his body to just listen to him. And he's like, listen, even on these days, like I have these days where my body doesn't want to do it. I don't want to do it. I don't want to go in and speak in front of people, or I don't want to go in and do X, Y, Z. But I've conditioned my mind to tell my body, listen, you're going to do it. I could care less how you feel, and that's it. There's no negotiations here.
Right.
So when you're able to do that and you're able to push yourself to do whatever it is that you may be doing in your business, whether, again, it's writing a couple of paragraphs or sentences or chapters or hiring a ghostwriter or hiring, you know, someone to design your covers, celebrating the fact that you push past that even when you didn't want to do it.
Right.
I've been staying away from, I am a former pie, cake,
sugar
addict, right? You like how I phrase that, right?
Oh, yeah.
Right? So get rid of that identity.
Right.
So the other day, and here's the worst part of it, Lindsay, I would take these freaking things up to my bed with me and have my nightstand laid out like this. I was the ultra. I had a real problem laying them out, right? I've got my drink and everything else. So before I go to sleep, I would just go to town.
Right.
And we have a pantry with stuff in it that not my wife has helped me, right? So she's helped me. She's removed the drug, but there's still certain things. Right. So the other day, I'm like dying to walk back downstairs. I'm envisioning how it would taste, how it would look, opening up the package, the fulfillment. And I really was having a battle. I sat there on the side of my bed for like 12 minutes like a crazy person, with the devil on one side, the angel on the other side, talking about why I should do it, why I shouldn't do it.
Right.
And ultimately, the angel won, and I didn't do it.
Right. There you go.
The next day, I'm like, oh my gosh, it felt so good being able to like not do it. So celebrating those wins. And
celebrating the wins, yes.
It doesn't always have to be about the money.
No. And I have to say that, you know, you, Josh, and Marty all have ingrained in us to move forward with this. You have to work on it every single day. You know, being a business owner, even though, you know, my ultimate goal for this is to be passive income, but there still is a foundation. There's still upfront work. There's still all of that you have to lay in order to get that passive income down the road. No different than how I treat my accounting practice, but treating it truly like a business and working on it every single day. But as I said, like once you start seeing those small wins, it's not a hassle anymore to work on it every single day. It is more of an addiction to me now. You know, I love waking up in the morning and looking at my KDP platform, you know, from the night before, and getting together my email list for my people. You know, people are starting to now respond back to my emails, and, you know, there's just all sorts of different things that, you know, people truly do care, you know, what I have to say. And so it's been a lot of fun, actually. it's been a ton of fun. And I think that that's the way that you have to look at it.
Yeah, and I think that becomes an eye opener too, because for most of us, right, we're not used to this, and we're not used to creating digital property,
right?
So this is the mindset part of it is a learning lesson in itself,
right?
Not only like what we're teaching you guys, but also to normalize the fact that you can make income, right, in a digital format, and that there's people that are on other parts of a planet that will buy while you're sleeping and buy while you're out with your children. The other thing is, there's sometimes, like I'll go into the group and sometimes I'll see where people have posted their sales for the month, right?
Right.
Like I made $89 for the month. It's not where I want it to be. It's not the 7,000 that I wanted it to be.
Right.
So, and I want to like kind of like jump through the screen and like just scream at them and say, listen, don't negate the $89 and talk about I've done this, but it's not, because as soon as you put the but after that,
right,
and you just like totally dismissed what you have accomplished. And that is going from like nothing to the $89 or nothing to the $400 or $500, because you're not just focusing on getting to the other part. And you're kind of saying, what I've done doesn't mean anything. And it's so hard for the universe to give you even more if you don't appreciate what you've gotten so far.
Exactly. And, and to think like, that piece of it really didn't start changing for me until, I check it periodically throughout the day. At first, when I would launch, like I was crazy and like just kept getting refreshed, right? And I was like, I actually have to step back and like, work my other business. But like to just sit there and be like, okay, I made a sale at my 99-cent book or my $2.99 book or whatnot. Like I just made $2, okay? And I didn't have to I was sitting here at my desk doing something else, and like just really changing that. Like I literally, yes, I had to do some upfront work and I had to manage the thing, but at that moment, I didn't have to do anything. And it's not like that $2 is done, that will snowball and stuff. And so it's just, that's really kind of what changed things of like, yes, I have some huge goals, My goal actually is I turned 45 in December. And so my gift to myself is going to be freedom. And I've already brought in a partner that will be buying me out. And so that's, my son, he'll be graduating next year and he's going to go play hockey and I want to go watch him play. I've started seeing a little bit of the freedom piece. I'm getting addicted to that too. Now that I've brought my partner in, I just had some friends in town from Jackson, Mississippi last week. And like, we went to an amusement park on a Wednesday. Like I've like never done that before. Right. And so
was it middle of the day? Like
middle of the day. Yes. It wasn't Wednesday night after work. It was like middle of the day on Wednesday. And I'm like, oh my gosh.
You're like, who is this daredevil taking the day off during the middle of the week, middle of the day to go?
Right. But that being able to do that is motivating me even more, so like I'm at the amusement park, my digital products are, working for me. I go and check and, I've made some sales and like, that's just all of it, just getting a little taste of it is really what's motivating me to that next level. Just a little taste.
How would that feel? Like you talked about being able to go in and see, like how often does your son typically play?
His hockey season is from August to March. And so, August to March. So 6 months. And then joining a team, they typically play 50, 75 games a year. So it's a lot.
50 to 75. Okay. So how would that feel? Like if you, let's say it's next year, right? And you look back after the end of the season and you're like, man, I went in and I attended 50 freaking games.
Right.
Like, what would that feel like? Like, how would that even like?
I'm actually going to cry thinking about it. I mean, seriously, that just, that's probably my biggest regret in life. I don't feel like there's really any regrets. I feel like life really is all about lessons and stuff, but I can't get any of that back. And I'm so blessed to have the husband that I do, because he was the dad. He was the dad to take to practice. He's the dad that, he makes the dinners. Like my son wouldn't be who he is today without my husband, but I missed out on all of that seat time with him, and we're tight, so I don't want to say it was all the time. And I did have flexibility in my business, but we'd always attend hockey tournaments over President's Day weekend. Well, that's February. That's a really, really, really busy month for CPAs.
Yeah.
So it's watching games. It's on my computer. It's, I was there, but I wasn't present, and that's just 13 years that I can't get back. So making this next leap and being able to be present for him at the next period of his life it's my dream, and I'm going to make that dream come true.
I love it. I'm going to hold you to that too.
I want you to.
Just because you and I had that, right? I talk about my daughter Maya and her just that one phrase I can remember. It was, I don't know, it was 13 years ago, but I remember it as if it was yesterday. Right. And because it was that impactful. You just said something. You said you were there, but you were not there. Right. You were there physically, but you were. So Jim Rohn, right, says wherever you are, be there. Right. Right. So wherever you are, be there. That was another pivotal point for me in my life, because I would go on vacations and I'm on the computer. Right. Right. I would be on the beach and I'm on my tablet. So much so that people would start making fun of me, like, oh my God, you're working again, and. So again, this is good. This is good stuff. You're bringing me back, actually, here. Well, good. And I think that I have such amazing work ethic that becomes an addiction as well. Like being able to truly slow down and turn things off. My husband and I and my son, we moved about a year ago to more of a remote location in Colorado, but we did it we are surrounded by mountains. Like I have a beautiful vegetable garden, I did it for things to start forcing me to, it's an addiction and it's a problem. It really is. So even though I'm moving to this world of more passive income and it's what I really want, I have to force myself to take a step back as well. Yes. And force yourself to appreciate the things that you've worked so hard to get to. Right. 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 So forcing yourself to really take in whatever it is. We put a sauna in recently, and you know how many times I've been in it? 3 times. And it's like when guests come by the house, they've been in it more than I have. The kids, and it was like my dream. So yes, just remembering to just go in and appreciate and take in the things that you've done, whether it's your garden or whether it's taking a walk. We built our house here specifically because we're on a cul-de-sac and there's the entrance to the trail right there. Right. Right. All of the lots, I'm like, that's got to be it because I love walking and I want no excuse not to be able to walk out my door. Right. So I remember that as well. So. Right. The other thing. So as you're doing this stuff, like the outsourcing, yes, and everything else, yes, in your own life, say, how can I start to outsource other aspects of my life? Whether it's getting a house cleaner, which you may have, or getting someone to wash your cars, or just little things. It becomes a game, right? So you may have heard me talk about my wife, and during the holidays, me outsourcing flowers being sent to her, and someone remembering to send the flowers so that I don't have to remember to do it. Right. I look like the best thing ever because she's all the time. Right. Yeah. So things like that. Right. Yeah. I have to say that one of my husband's and I disagreements, I don't know how many years it's been now, 8-9 years, about the housekeeper, because he's like, I don't want to spend every single weekend, cleaning the house. And I'm like, but it's money. And it was like the best decision ever. But, there is that phrase of what is your time worth? Seriously, what is your time worth? And so I always thought it as thinking that I'm not good and, I'm better than cleaning my house or whatnot, but you have to change that mindset of
truly, what is your time worth?
Yeah.
So, and I have to say that getting a taste of this little freedom and going to the amusement park in the middle of the week, that has actually been an eye opener for me that I've never been good at delegating. And even in my accounting practice, I'm actually out of it more than I am in it. And that's been really nice.
That's a beautiful thing.
Yes. Yeah.
How have you been able to get yourself? You said that you've been really good at delegating or comfortable with doing it, right? So,
right.
How are you now allowing yourself to be more comfortable with it? Because I think that goes back to mindset as well.
It
so
does.
when you first got a housekeeper, right? I'm going to be honest with you. It was the first thing that I thought about was, what would my mother think?
Right. Yes.
Like, she's going to think, like, what the hell is wrong with your wife? Like, she can't, right. She can't clean the house, or just all of these other things, like, so you have to get past that. It's from a mindset standpoint.
Yes.
So, just like what you said, it's your time. What is, not only from a monetary standpoint, what is your time worth, but what else could you be doing with that time? Whether it's me and my son Tyler or my daughter Summer going to the movies in the middle of the day,
right.
Or just having fun time together,
right.
Cleaning the house. So starting with that, and then working towards getting in that position. So working towards building out your business so that you have that passive income coming in, so that you can now start to outsource other things
right.
that you would normally do in your daily life.
Right.
So talk about that. How does that look for you?
So going back to your question of so even at my accounting practice, so I think you and I are a lot the same. When you're a starting out business owner, you're wearing all hats, right? Like you're doing everything. And I think people have to do that to start, because money is typically an issue. But then the time goes by and you're like starting to create this money. But like, it took me forever to let go of it and really start finally realizing that I need to take this money and reinvest it in other people, because they are eventually going to be making more money for me, or it at least frees up my time to do another business like this or build another business. So going back to, it really wasn't until the last 6 months or so that I've truly had to just let go, believe that the people that I hire are going to be the people that are going to help me. And I needed to believe in them, because I did have the mindset. And then I sometimes still too, I'm guilty of it, of like, they're making mistakes, like I can do it better, like, and I don't give them enough credit for taking the leap themselves on being better and learning stuff. So, excuse me, I'm totally getting hoarse here.
No, you're good. I tell my wife every once in a while, I'll say, you know what, I'm firing everyone.
Right. And you do, like, you get into that. It's an ego thing, Ty, seriously. Yeah. It's a total ego thing. And I was just talking to another friend who is
ego and impatience thing.
Ego and impatience. And I was just talking to another internet marketer exactly about this, of like just letting go of the ego. Like we all started where we started at some point in our life. Like you didn't become a Kindle bestseller instantly. So it is getting rid of the ego that other people can't do it as good as you. And outsourcing really is the key. And it's taken me 13 plus years of being a business owner to realize that. But once I started delegating, I wouldn't be able to do the things that I'm doing now if I don't. So.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I think the other thing is giving them the creative freedom sometimes as
yes.
well. So kind of like we have this box to kind of say, okay, you can jump out of a box every once in a while, right? Don't go nuts, but you can jump out every once in a while.
Right.
So I'll do that. So one of the things that I'll do is with it, let's say if it's a graphic designer, right? Or someone on my team and they're asking, how should I do this? I'll go back and I'll say, well, you're the graphic designer. Like, what do you think? Like, you are much better than me at this. What do you think? Or sometimes someone on my team, they'll come in and they'll say, hey, is this okay? Or should it be done this way? And I'll say, well, pretend I'm not here. What do you think? What would you do?
Right.
And because we can train them to be so dependent on us
Right.
They don't put any critical thinking into the process, right?
Right.
We're the firefighter. They'll just come directly to us.
Right.
So what I've started to do also is, and this has worked extremely well, is have 4 set days. And the 4 set days are, I'll have my productivity days.
Right.
And these are days where I'm just massively productive. And these are the days when I actually feel the best. Because
Right.
I feel the best when I'm being productive. When I'm
Right.
and creating. And then I'll have my buffer days. My buffer days are the days where I'm kind of planning out and thinking out what I need to do to grow the business and to help the community even more so. That's all I'm doing on those days. And then I'll have my free days. My free days are the days where I'm just pretty much not doing anything. You got to pray for me because I'm still not good on my free days. I still find myself going to do some work.
Right.
And then I do my meeting days. So
Right.
Tuesdays are my meeting days because I'm not a guy that really likes to do meetings much.
Yes.
Which is
I
like
know.
easy for me. So I said, okay, I'll bundle them all together on this one day and I can just get it out of the way and that's it.
Right.
So that has worked really well for me, having and it comes down to, like, with Kindle publishing or anything in life, it comes down to knowing yourself. I know that I'm not a meeting guy.
Right.
Like, meeting lasts more than 4 minutes.
Right. Oh my goodness. And growing up in the public accounting world or starting my career, we had meetings just to say we had meetings. Like, they're unproductive. They get nothing done. And typically by the end, you have no solution from when you started. So they're a time suck. Yeah, I absolutely agree. I do not like meetings. Right.
I want to ask you another question. So,
yes.
What shifted in your mind or business that allowed you to hit your goals? Because I take it that you're a goal setter, right? So I'm sure that when you first came into this thing, you had certain goals. Like,
Correct.
what did this shift for you mindset wise in order to hit that goal? Whether the goal was like getting to your first 10 subscribers,
right,
and or getting to your first 10 page reads. And I set the bar low like that because the person that's watching this too, again, you're seeing the successes that are in the group. Mm-hmm. They may say, okay, I have to have this goal of getting to 1,000 subscribers, which is fine.
Right.
You've got to get that first or that second person on your list and it not be your mom or your dad or your boyfriend or your friend or someone, right?
Right.
So what has shifted in your mind that has allowed you to start hitting your goals and then growing and piggybacking so that you hit more goals?
Honestly, just belief. I mean, it's something just seriously as simple as that. So when I was going through my self-sabotage stuff before, I was in a period of like, this doesn't work, or they are planted, or, whatever it may be. And
did you really think that they're planted?
No, not they're planted, but
okay.
No. But other people may be thinking that. No, I didn't think that they're planted, but it is hard. And I think that people coming into this, I wouldn't even say hard, overwhelming, like I think overwhelming is probably the best word of like coming in and maybe having that like instant like fire in your belly because you're seeing all of this stuff, but then the expectation that it doesn't happen as you in the time period that you expect it to. And then it's just like, this is dumb, nobody who would listen to me anyways, and all of that. And I take what Josh and Marty say to heart all the time. And they always said your first series is your worst series. Yeah. So, I'm like, it was pure learning. It was pure learning. What did I do right? What did I not do wrong? Most of the stuff I did wrong, but how can I learn from that? What am I going to do next in my next series? Launching is a really big thing, building up that excitement with your list. But really, I would have to say it's something so simple, truly is just belief and not giving up. The quote where they say the only way to fail truly is to quit. It's really true, and I want to caveat by saying like, I'm nowhere near the goals that I want to meet, where I want to be, but I am moving forward and I am seeing the momentum and I am seeing it snowball. And if I could tell any new people that are on the fence of like starting this or not, like just don't give up and believe and celebrate truly the small wins. Really.
It's a beautiful thing. I want to bring this all the way back to the very beginning, right?
Yes.
Before we even started. You had something, I think you were going to say that you had gotten the program, but
yes,
you jump into it. Can you finish that real quick?
Yes. Yeah. So it's actually been 2 years since I got the program. Anik is actually who I bought it through, and I started. Life got in the way, and the reason why it got in the way is because I was still trying to do everything as my own business owner. And, you know, I so believe in the passive income model. But at that time period, building the foundation to do that, like I didn't have the energy. I mean, straight up, like I just did not have the energy to try to create another business. But I was still part of the Fast Track program group, and then also just the regular Kindle Cash Flow Facebook group. And so I'm on Facebook, you know, quite often, and I'm just seeing people in there just gaining the momentum and really the positive feedback of the community. And actually so that was, I probably took for a year off. And then about last November, once I was tired of watching all these people have success without me, it's that FOMO. It really is the FOMO. I was just like, you know what, I'm gonna do this. And I actually reached out for some coaching. But really, honestly, it truly was the community. And the one thing that there was another guy that actually started at the same time that I did, and I've kind of watched him through, and like he's so much further ahead than I am, you know, because he didn't quit. So
that'll do it. Seeing someone start at the same time as you,
right?
Knowing you're looking back and you're like, geez,
right.
That's a beautiful thing. Lindsay, this was amazing. I appreciate your energy. I appreciate having you. I want to be conscious of your time too. Yeah. I can talk to you forever. I think we have that's in common.
No, me too. Yeah, no, this has been awesome. And I'm so grateful for the opportunity. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Yes.
In closing.
Yes.
What's that one last thing that you would say to a person that is watching this thing and they're probably looking at Lindsay and they're like, geez, if only I had started when she had started. Right?
There's never a bad time to start. All you have to do is just start. Seriously, start and keep going. You know, because you will start seeing the snowball. You know, it may not happen as fast as what is in your mind, and that's okay, but the snowball will start to happen. And that's really what I feel creates the belief.
There you go. I couldn't have said it better. The snowball will start to happen, and that's what creates the belief. That's what even adds on to the belief.
It does. It does.
Right.
Yep.
Lindsay, beautiful. Yep. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye. Have a good weekend.
All right, guys, if you have not gotten a chance to get your tickets to KCF Live, go ahead and do so now by going to kcflive.com. I don't know if it's confirmed or not, but I'm going to try to bring Lindsay back and maybe talk to her for about 15 minutes during KCF Live. We'll see if we can get her in, and we'll see what happens.
Too.
All right, awesome.
All right.